Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ava Technologies YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing really well. And we've got some interesting snippets of news that we share every day. So just quickly, for those of you who are new to the show, we're a new, channel, new YouTube show. And we work in the AI space. And what we thought would be fun to do, both for our own benefit and share it with others, is to really grab what the top stories of the day are, because obviously this AI space is just going so fast and so crazy, and even working in the space, it feels like it's running at 100 miles an hour. So it's a good way for us to keep up to speed, and we'll share what we're seeing in the news. So we literally just grab some of the latest news that grab our interest, and we react to them and share our thoughts. We're going to keep each story to 5 minutes. We do sometimes go over that timeline, so apologies for that, should I say. And but having said that, sometimes it's worth diving into those topics in a bit more depth as well. So, Will, let's go. First story of the day.
I love this one. Hey everyone, by the way. Today's spread, I think, is really interesting to me as someone that works more in the technical, and this is fascinating. I think even when I sent this to Ben, even you were like, "Wow, what?" So the title of this is from PC Gamer, a magazine, but they've put, "Oh goody, the first known AI-powered ransomware has been discovered, and it may exfiltrate data, encrypt it, or potentially destroy it." Now, this is terrifying. Now, obviously, it's quite a big topic. So should I just start by explaining how this ransomware works a little bit?
Let's go for it.
And then this one I think is probably going to be worth lingering on. So if the 5 minute timer goes and we've got a little bit left to explain them, because this is also probably a big thing coming that I hadn't even thought about until I saw this. So how this ransomware works. So first of all, ransomware is essentially software that you download to your computer. It's malicious. When it runs, it will typically lock all your files and get you to pay money unless you pay, they delete all your files, right? So that's how it works. They'll demand money in crypto. If you don't pay it, files deleted, computer's gone bang. That's how ransomware works in layman's terms. What this does is it's fascinating. You may or may not have heard of Ollama. Ollama is a way to run local models on your computer really easily. Again, you might look at your top toolbar and there'll be a little llama icon. That's Ollama. It just runs in the background. What it does is it exposes an internal API so that programs that you run on your computer can also talk to Ollama. So when we're developing software, we can hook into Ollama really easily. We can get it to download models. We can get it to run chat inference and get completions. So we can really easily programmatically interact with Ollama. This is how this ransomware works. You download it, you run it, and then what happens is it uses your local installation of Ollama to install a local model. I believe the article references GPT-OSS, which is OpenAI's big open source model that they've just released. So it will download it without you even knowing in the background using Ollama. What it will then do is it will run inference on that model, getting it to understand the system that it's running on. So what computer am I using? It will then give that to the model and get it to write ransomware, bespoke, custom for your computer, which is insane to think. Is that the ransomware that you run through this will be different to the ransomware that I run through this. It does it on the fly, and that's wild. That's a wild thought. And the article echoes at the very end, like the way you avoid this is like the age old song of viruses: just don't download things you don't know. But also it says, well, don't use local models. So that's an interesting thought. So maybe we'll get back to that, but it'd be great to get your thoughts, Ben, and then we'll circle back to this whole sentiment that it's giving.
Yeah, so I mean, I was asking you questions on this just before we jumped on live, and in a way, these are sort of, and I'll repeat that question, because at first I was like saying, what is it suggesting that local models are not a good idea? Because hang on a second, we're proponents for local models and not using cloud providers for security, privacy, and all those reasons. Sorry, guys, just and for those who aren't technical, listening to this channel. What we mean by a local model is literally a model that is on your device, your computer, your phone, whatever the device is. And it doesn't need the internet, and it's not connecting to a third party. It is literally, you have complete control of it, and it's, you've got security of your data and information, your privacy. There's no latency, you don't need the internet, You know, if you're traveling to Mars, it doesn't matter. If you're traveling in the middle of the countryside in Africa, there's no internet, it will work. So that's what we mean by local models. It's not a ChatGPT type service or whatever, you know, any Gemini, anything else like that. So I was slightly confused when I first read it, wasn't I, Will? I was like, surely a local model is going to be safe, because how, you know, that's the ultimate safety. But what you pointed out to me was, but there is, you know, the attack vector is effectively, you get an email, you press download, and then it's doing stuff in the background you've got no idea about, and it's able to basically use AI to bespoke so screw you over effectively. And it was like, what?
So this is a different angle for data security. Yeah, this is a different angle for data security in terms of when you talk about ChatGPT and the data problem there, it's because you're putting it into a third party. It might get published. You don't know where it's going to go per se. But this is a different issue in the fact that you already have the model on your computer. It doesn't need internet, and it's a different thing that it's trying to do. It's not trying to leak your data or do anything with it. It's trying to hold it ransom so that you pay to have it back. So it's a as you said, it's a different attack vector. What the problem with this is, I think this article overhypes what it actually means for you. I don't think you need to worry about this happening on your computer at the moment. So I'll explain why. First of all, you need Ollama installed. I mean, that's already going to have shrunk that user base down that is susceptible to this virus by, you know, a massive order of magnitude. Second of all, it needs to run GPT-OSS. It's a 20B model, a 20 billion parameter model. It's massive. Only a few computers of that user base running Ollama will be able to run GPT-OSS. So again, the user base is tiny again. You can't really use smaller models because they won't be able to do the job that GPT-OSS will do, which is essentially write the ransomware in real time. You know, so really it's overhyped. It's not a problem right now. It's an interesting future thing to think about, to think that this will be possible, because it will be. I mean, it's a really interesting angle. But is it a problem right now? Probably not. And again, the age-old song of viruses is just don't download what you don't know what you're downloading. It's like saying, and the article says, well, the best way to avoid it is to not download what you don't know, but also just don't use local models. That eliminates it altogether. That's like saying don't use a computer if you don't want a virus, because not using the computer eliminates it. You know, it's the same thing. So,
stupid.
I don't think that it's a problem with local models. Again, it's more education that this kind of attack can happen. So be careful what you're downloading.
For sure.
Fascinating though.
And I thought there was a slightly interesting little sentence in there, which it didn't really get into detail. It was something along the lines of, it had a Bitcoin address, which happened to be Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin address. But it didn't really get into any detail. And so, you know, and then it was sort of suggesting that it was maybe this is like an experiment, you know, that somebody's sort of just playing with, and probably that's what it is.
Yeah. Again, I think this is a really eye-catching headline, a really, if nothing at all, a really interesting thought experiment. That this, I mean, I hadn't thought of it until I saw this article. I think, well, yeah, actually, that's probably quite possible. And that's a really interesting use case for malicious software, is being able to use these local models to perform different kinds of attacks on people's computers personally. And that's what's, I think, I was going to say, I don't think it's a real threat right now, but a very interesting thought experiment.
Definitely. And one last thought, because I know we've gone over 5 minutes of the story, and again, we seem to break our rules all the time, but it is worth to sort of, you know, I guess, lingering on this. I like a good linger. You know what I find fascinating, and I think this is a demonstration of how software is no longer going to be, here's a software, let's try and fit this into your business model, you know, and we'll just somehow get it to work, and you know, we've created this thing. Because we've talked about this before, where AI is creating opportunities where it's bespoke to every user, and this is a bespoke use case. Is that AI, although it's malicious, is going to be building a bespoke solution to bugger up your computer, and every solution is going to be different. And we literally had a phone call with an organization who's exploring about AI within their organization, and how a lot of the solutions that are being sort of approached to them are, oh, we've got this product, let's shoehorn it into your operations. And actually, the reality is organizations and the future of AI is bespoke solutions, because AI gives us that capability. We talk about in marketing, and Ava Mind, our app, how we're going to be developing, a bespoke AI, Ava, to interact with every individual, and that is the future. And it's just really interesting to see how this is not a good use case, but a bespoke AI use case.
This leads absolutely beautifully, perfectly into the next article. If you don't mind me putting it up, this we can just literally carry on talking about this exact thing.
All right.
So this article
5 minutes.
This article is fascinating as well, and something that we've spoken about a little bit, certainly the personalization side of it, but how this comes to be in a practical sense. This is what this article is talking about. So it's titled "Malleable Software Will Eat the SaaS World," and essentially what we're speaking about now is that we have some very beautiful tools, very functional tools that do lots of different things. This article references a bunch of great tools that are beautiful, well designed, but fundamentally inflexible. They have a massive opinion on how you should work, what you should work, and what that means when you're rolling it into your workflow or a company's workflow is that it's you have to shoehorn it in a lot of the cases. It's not built for that purpose. You have to adapt your workflow a little bit to work with the tool that you're using. Now, the idea that malleable software is a thing came out really with GPT-5 when it got released by OpenAI, where they talked about a world where the software is shaped totally around you, on the fly almost, which is what's crazy. Is what you'll have is a piece of software, which we've also spoken, again, personally, just you and I, Ben, at length about, is that as an idea for a piece of software that is literally just a window where you can type in a prompt. It connects to different services, all your different services. It can do different things, and it becomes like that one software that can do it all, genuinely. And this idea only gets bigger and better with large language models that are capable of generating code as well. So on one hand, that ransomware is a bad use of it, but on this side, you could type in, I want a piece of software to create music with a piano, even though I can't play the piano. And the idea is that GPT-5 or a similar big large language model will just create the UI there and then for you. There's your piece of software, bang, right on the screen. You don't need to download Photoshop. You just ask for Photoshop, bang, Photoshop's there. There you go, an image editing software. And the large language model can shape the experience that you have with that software to be whatever you want it to be. And then this is the whole idea. That will absolutely kill just about every startup, every SaaS model on the market, because suddenly you just need this one piece of software that can do whatever you want it to do. In plain text, you write, you get. Amazing.
So do you think it would be almost, we did talk about, it's crazy, we've talked about this so many times, and it's really interesting because so many people don't see this coming. Do you see the battleground being fought for these SaaS products being, oh, can we be the product of choice for your OS system, if that makes sense? So you buy a Mac and you just type in, oh, can you email and send them a PDF of this and create it. It just all happens in one solution, but it happens to be sent out via MailChimp, for example. Yeah. Do you think that's what the battleground is, or do you think actually even those things like an email platform won't exist at all because it's just not needed?
I think that you'll never get rid of everything, because you'll need a database. You'll need a central database for your services. So if there's a piece of software that you can't, ChatGPT can't spin up. So, but I think it will slowly get less and less need for certain pieces of software, because you have this one piece of software that can create it. So I think the first stage is there's going to be a piece of software where we're able to go and it connects to all the services that you have already as a business. So say you use MailChimp for email sending, you use Hootsuite for more publishing to social media, you use Google Analytics for your website data. This piece of software will connect into all of those, And by doing that, it connects to the large language model. So then you're able to say, can you tell me how many site visitors we've had in the last quarter? And it will then, bring that down for you. The large language model has access to it, it can put it down. Similarly, you can say, can you send this email out to all of my contacts on MailChimp? And again, it will do the same. That's the first stage, I think. Second stage will be then replacing that, with low-level UIs. Do you need a code editor today? So you can go, generate me the code editor to work on my project, or you know what I mean. It comes in stages. It will slowly connect to other services before starting to replace those services on the fly if you need it. And then I think there will always be a fundamental need for some software, like databases, like central stores of things. But as with AI, let your imagination run wild. I mean, it's increasingly more and more do we talk about stuff that feels like just completely bonkers and completely sci-fi. So, the sky's the limit.
5 minutes, perfect. That was really interesting.
That was well timed.
That was perfect timing. Next story, go.
Yeah. And this one is one that is very technical, but one that I feel like I drum about this all the time, but it's absolutely fascinating. I love this field of study. I think it's just so much where the future is going, and this is essentially an interesting paper basically on how we can make small language models do better locally, because at the moment they're quite dreadful. They're quite good for conversations, so you can have a chat with a local model and it will do back and forth with you. It'll sound really good. It will be coherent. Again, you probably won't notice in a general conversational sense. You won't notice much difference between that and a large model. But where they fail horrendously is at like agentic use. So that's giving it a task, for example, a coding task, and the AI will go away for a long period of time and run tools and do different things, and then come back to you with the result 5 minutes later. Small models are dreadful at that because they just don't have the same ability to reason because they're small. This paper goes into how to start solving this kind of stuff, because that's going to be a big, everything that we're talking about, I think, is going to rely on these small models running on your computer and working properly, and we are developing that and we're getting there, but it's not quite there. So these kind of technical papers, this one is still from April, but it's come up as a key piece of news recently, but it provides a technical set of specs to try and get more out of local models. It's the reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's something we're doing massively. I'm literally going to go away after this and digest this whole paper and see what we can implement within what we're doing, how we can use some of these ideas to push what we're doing, and it's just generally fascinating.
Brilliant. And on that point, because I can't really add anything here, because number one, I haven't read the article, so sorry guys. And number two, I'm not technical, so I tend to come from a what does it mean for the user, what does it mean for Joe Blogs, what does it mean for the consumer, the products, what's the how do we position it, market it, and all the rest of it, and hopefully ask the dumb questions that people think about but maybe too afraid to ask. So that's where I can ask you stupid questions, Will, and you can shed light and bring some clarity to these things. So Will, on those points, you said you're going to digest it and think about it. What's your initial thoughts for like our product with Ava Mind? So do you have any initial thoughts? If you don't,
100%. When you're running a local model, and this is something that I'm going to look at how this paper is suggesting we do certain different things, and I've had a scan through already, and a lot of what they're talking about resonates with the work that we're doing. So that's really great. What you have to do is you could just run a local model really easily. Like you could run a model easily. However, it's not fine-tuned in any sort of way. It hasn't been given a framework to work within. That's an interesting view, Ben.
I was going to check. I'm trying to put you on it. So you're talking. I thought it's more interesting having you talking than me. I like changing the views. Going a bit crazy here, everybody. Sorry about that. But if you're
that's all right. No, honestly, put it. Keep it there. That's fine.
There we go.
One of the things. Oh, there we go. I see what you were aiming for now. I see. See, we're very professional at Ava Technologies in terms of our podcasting abilities. Though next week, I think we're going to be doing some in-person stuff. So watch out for that, because hopefully the quality is going to go through the roof, I think. Naturally.
Don't promise what you can't deliver.
No, so we're gonna try and do some in-person stuff. So that'll be good. I think that'll make the content really good. So anyway, back to what I was talking about in terms of what we're doing with small models. What is abundantly clear is that these models need their hand-holding, a whole lot more. Whereas like a massive model, you can put anything you want into it, and it will understand roughly what you're asking it, and it will do well. But a small model, you have to be really, quite structured in what you're asking it. It goes back to a common training mechanism when you're first learning about how to use AI. It's like how to prompt. Same thing within software. We have to write system prompts underneath that layer on top. We also have to do fine tuning and tool call setup. And there's an awful lot of stuff that you have to give to the AI as context. And if you've done it really poorly, you won't know with a large model because it will probably understand. But with a small model, it just won't work. It just won't understand. It won't be able to do it. So what we need to actively develop is a framework for which software works around small models. At the moment, again, as these models improve, it will become less and less required. But at the moment, we need to spend a lot of time developing frameworks for the models to work within that detects that we're using a small model and sets up your environment to work like that. And then out the other side, hopefully you can start to see improved quality as a result. So yeah, this article is fascinating because it provides a framework in which to do that. And again, we can share ideas to what we're already implementing and working on with this to see if some of their ideas can help us within our mission. Because what we needed to do is set up a framework within AvaMind that these small models can work within to do as good a job as a large model can.
Awesome, mate. That was really interesting. Excited to
Technical
see
way.
how that evolves.
Yes.
Brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant. I think we've hit all the stories, haven't we, today?
We have.
I think the headline's
yeah.
got to be, Satoshi is trying to basically nick everyone's Bitcoin and ransomware everybody.
That has got to be it. No, yes, I love that story. I really enjoyed talking about it. I mean, it's just an interesting thought experiment, and then it's just like the added Bitcoin address to send the money to is Satoshi's, which is hilarious.
Definitely.
As if he didn't have enough money.
Yeah, maybe he needs a bit more.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up, mate. Listen, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, do all those amazing things. We really appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything. And we'd love to start interacting and having some questions from you guys. I know we're having one or two people watching the show at the moment, but it will grow. And early supporters are really appreciated. So any final thoughts, anything you want to say?
I think you always summarize it very well. Look out for the stuff we're doing next week. I won't promise, but I think it's going to improve it, and because that's what we want to do, is we want to try and bring value to what we're doing. It's such a fascinating space. I think it's one that's fast moving and very, has value to everybody's lives. So I like talking about it, and I think, hopefully if we can grow this as a platform for people to understand and learn about the fast moving pace of AI, then brilliant. So look out for next week.
Awesome, brilliant. All right, take care, guys.
Cheers. Bye.